If you're anything like me, you've probably got a big box of thread scraps at home and you might be wondering what to do with them. Well, today I'm going to show you 3 ways that you can use them so they don't go to waste. So we've got a Christmas tree bauble, an embroidered flower and a felt decoration, but I'm going to start with making these simple Christmas baubles. So for this, I've got a plastic fillable bauble and I'm just grabbing 1/2 and I'm going to start filling it with the thread scraps. Now I'm going for a bit of a mixture, but you could pick out certain colours if you want them to be a bit more colour coordinated or if you want them to match your Christmas decor. Just giving it a good squash down because now I'm going to do the exact same with the other half, just filling that up with the scraps. Oh, these are all a bit tangled, aren't they? Let's grab that nice pink one out of there. There we go, and again, just giving it a good squash down. I'm just going to squash this one down again. There's quite a few scraps in there and they do kind of tend to bounce back a little bit. So just giving that a little squash. Now I'm just going to pop the 2 pieces together and wait till it clicks into place. Now I have got a few scraps just poking out the side, so I'm just going to just poke those in and make sure we haven't got any escaping threads. So now we're looking a bit tidier. I haven't got any threads poking through. It is time to add on a little bit of string so we can hang the bauble up. I'm just going to cut a length off with my thread snippers. And I'm just going to fold it in half and tie a knot at one end. There we go. Now it's time to just thread it through the hole. Just going to poke that through there. And then I'm just going to loop it round. Just gently tucking that in. There we go. Now I've just added a little bow and our bauble is all ready to hang on the Christmas tree. So next up we are going to use the thread scraps to fill a felt decoration. So I've got 2 heart-shaped pieces cut out of felt which I embroidered onto earlier, and now I'm going to run a running stitch around the edge to piece the 2 pieces together. I'm going to keep my stitches nice and neat and keep a smaller gap between them so none of the thread scraps escape. You can find a full stitch tutorial for running stitch over on my channel if you want to learn a little bit more about it. So I've stopped part way round because I'm going to add in a little bit of pretty pink ribbon so that we can hang the decoration up. So I'm just folding the piece of ribbon in half and now I'm going to sandwich it between the 2 pieces of felt. So just tucking it in just like this. And now I'm going to continue the running stitch as before and it's going to hold the ribbon in place. So now it's time to fill the decoration. I've left a gap here. I'm using smaller clumps of thread this time as I don't want to overfill it. I just want to add some weight so that it hangs nicely. I'm going to add some more and then I'm just going to make sure all the ends are tucked in so it's looking nice and tidy. Now that's done, I'm going to continue the running stitch around the edge. And here is our finished felt decoration all ready to be hung up. Next thing I'm going to show you is how to stitch a flower using your scraps. So I've got a little 3-inch hoop ready with some fabric, plus lots of colourful thread scraps. So for the flower, I'm going to pick out some colours I like the look of and that are not too short in length. It doesn't matter if they're quite long scraps because we're going to cut them down anyway. I quite like making these flowers out of a mixture of colours, but as I mentioned with the baubles, you could use similar colours to match your project or a style. Once you've chosen your threads, line them up at one end like this and hold on to them to keep them in place. Now we're going to trim them down so they are all the same length. I've got some shorter threads in here, so I'm just going to cut the longer ones down to match the length. Now to attach the threads to the fabric, thread your needle with a longer piece of thread. Now push your needle up through the fabric where you want to attach them and pull your thread all the way through. Now grabbing your threads, place them on the fabric close to where you have pushed your needle up through, and now push your needle through the fabric down on the other side. So this little couching stitch is going to hold them in place, but for a bit of extra security, I'm just going to go over them with another stitch. Now the threads are attached, turn them upwards like this. This is going to create the shape of the flower. Now using another piece of thread, push your needle up through on one side of the threads and then push your needle back down on the other. Found this lovely green hiding in my thread scraps, which is coming really handy. Don't worry too much about the length at this point because we're going to trim them down again a little bit later. So now I'm going to add some more stitches to cover the end of the threads and to shape the flower. To add some detail, I'm stitching the stem in whipped back stitch using 2 different greens I found in my thread scraps, and I'm adding some leaves using back stitch. So just 2 simple back stitches on both sides of the stem. Now we've added the details, it's time to trim down the threads. So I'm just going to lay my hoop down on the table, just like this. I'm going to keep those nice and straight, and I'm just going to tuck in any excess fabric just so that it doesn't get in the way. Now I've got my scissors and I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to trim them down. Got some more scraps for the box. If they're still looking a little bit long, give them another trim so they're the length that you want. So now I've backed my hoop using my favourite method, and here is my thread scrap flower. I love making these. I think they're a fun way to practice your stitches and they can be added into your own embroidery designs. So that was 3 different ways you can use up your thread scraps. Which one will you be trying? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Happy stitching.